Stevenson Clark. Stevenson Clark. I need to call you, Stevenson, as soon as I get off. Yeah. You doing all right, man? Good to see you, man. Good to hear from you. I know they're keeping you busy. Man, always good to hear from you. Clark, y'all come in. Y'all come in for just a second here. Y'all come in for just a second. Stevenson, keep that horn on for a couple of minutes, and I'll be sure to give you a shout back in a minute. Y'all come on in here. Let me borrow about 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes of y'all time. If y'all don't mind, 10, 15 minutes. Y'all come on, real quick. TK, I need you to keep my timer for me. 15 minutes. I need 10, 15 minutes. Get ain't down here. 15 minutes. Andrea, TK, keep my time for me now. Keep my time. This box there, y'all all right? When I get 10 people on here, I'm going to give y'all what I have to give you. Pastor Brian Davis, good to see you. Y'all give me Trey, y'all cheat it. Give me 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. I'm doing good, Andrea. I'm doing good. Yeah, but see, Trey, here's the thing. I got permission. First lady said 10 minutes. She said 10 minutes, and I'm gonna give her 10 minutes and be obedient to her. How many we got on here, TK? TK, how many we got? We ain't gonna be on long, Sister Box there. Trey, 10 minutes. All right, we got 10. We got 10 people look like we got 10 people. Look like we got 10 people. Listen, it's good to be on here. It's good to be up and moving around. So TK, y'all don't let me go over my time, but don't let me get too excited on you. But listen, I want to come on for a little while today. Thank again all of you all that have taken time out of your busy schedules and whatever you all been doing this week to keep us uplifted in your prayers. Thank all of you all from everywhere. You all have shown love from every which way, as the older people would say. But I wanted to come on real quick. The First Lady told me I had 15 minutes, and that was it. So I ain't got but 15 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes to share this with somebody on here tonight. Devin had got me. Devin's told me not to do it, but I got 10 minutes to do it and to get off of here. Listen, in the last week, so often we talk about faith, and so often we say that we're people of faith. And I think in the last week, here's what I said to somebody earlier, Sister Shay. I said to somebody earlier that sometimes God forces us to look at things from a different perspective. And so this week, I think God has forced me and caused me to look at faith from a different perspective, from a different level. Sometimes God will allow things to happen in our lives, and God will sometimes allow us to go through some things, I believe, in order to test and to try our faith. Sometimes God has a way, Pastor Skurlock, I got 8 minutes. God has a way of calling our faith to the witness stand. The Bible talks about count it all joy when we fall into diverse temptation, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. There's a passage of scripture in Hebrews chapter 11 and verse number 1. It says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Then that passage again tells us, James says that we ought to count it all joy when we fall into diverse temptation, when we fall into different types of temptation. That word temptation simply means whenever we're confronted with so many different things and so many different obstacles in our lives. I've always considered myself to be a person of faith, but this week God has, I believe, tested my faith. I believe in spite of what I've endured, and we're not going to get into all of that. Here's what I believe by faith. I still believe that God is a restorer to good health. I still believe that in spite of it all, God is going to restore my body. God is going to heal. Not only is God going to heal, I just believe that God is going to make whole. Not because I feel it, not because I feel like it, because there was times this week that I didn't really feel that God was going to do it. There was moments and there were instances in this week that I didn't think God was going to do it because I didn't feel it. And I don't say tonight that God is going to heal me and God is going to restore me and God is going to make me whole. I don't say that because I feel it necessarily. I don't say that because I just want something to say. But I still believe, I still by faith believe what God said. I still believe what the Word of God said, that by His stripes we are healed. By faith, I still believe that. So guess what? In spite of it all, in spite of how we may even feel at this present moment, I'm still waiting and I'm still watching for God to do it. It says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for. It's the evidence of things not seen. And for somebody tonight, I just wanted to come and to encourage you, because God has had me in a spiritual solitary confinement for the last several days, where He had to talk to me on a personal level, Brother Ison. And so I wanted to come and I wanted to encourage somebody about faith, that even when it looks rough and when it looks hard, when it looks in spite of what doctors tell you, and this doctor tell you worse than what the last doctor tell you, several things, a couple of things I want to tell you about faith. First of all, I discovered God spoke to me and said that, number one, here's the first thing that you need to understand. Faith is a present reality. He said it's a present reality. I opened up the Bible, it says, now faith is. In other words, faith is not something that's going to be done in the future. Faith is not something that's going to be done later on. It does not lean on the past. It does not look to the future. But faith, now faith lives in the present. You all remember the story of Lazarus in John chapter 11. After Lazarus had died, Jesus waited 4 days later only to show up. And when He showed up, He found Martha's heart filled with unbelief. And she says to Jesus, notice what she says to Jesus. She says to Jesus, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. She believed in the past. And so Jesus sought to console her by reminding her that her brother would rise again, in which Martha replied, "Oh, I know that he shall live in the resurrection at the last day." So now she's believing in the future. And so Jesus had to shake her, and Jesus had to bring her into reality. And Jesus says to Martha, and what he's saying to me and what he's saying to you, he says to Martha, "I am, not I was, not I'm going to be." He says, "I am the resurrection and the life." He was directing her faith to the present. God has no past. God has no future. He always has been, and he always will be. Thus, he is the author and he is the finisher of our faith. He is the I am of your circumstance. He is the I am in the midst of your sickness and your heartaches. Our faith can exist right now in the present reality of who he is at this moment. So God spoke to me today. I got 3 minutes. They said, God spoke to me today and said it's a present reality. But then he says, "Assure your faith is a produced reaction." He says it's a produced reaction. I said, "God, what are you talking about?" He said, faith is not something we can produce, but it is something that we can practice. Let me say it again. He said it's not nothing that we can produce, but it's something that we can practice. Faith is a gift which is produced by God, in God. So if faith is something that you can profess, it ought to be something you can practice. In the book of James, he said, even so, faith without works is dead. My brothers and sisters, whoever you are tonight, whoever you are at this moment, in a little bit of time that we have left, here's what I want to convey to us. Once faith is produced in us, faith ought to be practiced by us. Faith is measured not by your feelings. Faith is measured by your feet. Feelings change based on the circumstances. Sometimes you're up and sometimes you're down. But we cannot base our faith on our feelings, because there'll be times in your life, trust me, where you don't feel faith. So don't base your faith on your feelings, but you must base your faith in your feet. In other words, there's work that you must do. So God says to me, number one, faith is a present reality. Second of all, faith is a produced reaction. But then here's the last thing God said to me. He says, faith is a powerful resource. The text says, now faith is the substance. The word substance speaks of standing under something. In other words, faith is what stands under us. Faith is what stands under a man. Faith is what is the substance. Faith is what stands, is that thing that we stand upon. That substance is what we stand on and what's holding us up. We cannot stand again on our feelings, because feelings come and go. We cannot necessarily stand on our faith, because there are times when even our faith, regardless to who you are, our faith is weakened. But we can stand on our faith even in the midst of the facts. There's a song, and I'm gone, there's a song that they used to sing in the old days. There's a song that they used to sing that says, God said it, I believe it, that settles it. Well, the truth of the matter is, brothers and sisters, it doesn't matter if I believe it or not. If God said it, that settles it. If God said it, that's the end of the discussion. And that's the reason I know tonight that I'm healed, because God said it. And in order for our faith to line up with what the Bible calls faith, it must have a valid content. In other words, there must be something which faith holds hold to. Many today simply say, I have faith. Many people today watching, even tonight, you have faith in faith. Their faith rests in the fact that they have faith. There's no substance, there's no source, there's no standard to their faith. Some say just believe and you'll receive it. The truth of the matter is that may be true, but It may not be the whole truth. The question that I would beg to ask is, what are you believing in? Is it something that's been conjured up in your own mind, or is it something that God has said in his word? I got 2 minutes and I'm gone. Faith is acting like something is so, even when it's not so, in order that it might be so, simply because God said so. That's what faith is. Thank you, Tony Evans. Faith is acting like something is so, even when it's not so, in order that it might be so, simply because God said so. Here's what faith is. Faith is simply God telling the truth. And when we fail to operate by faith, and I was wondering why the last couple of weeks I was posting stuff on Facebook about faith and about faith and about faith, and it wasn't until this week that I totally understood why God had me doing these little messages, these little posts in regards to our faith. When we fail to operate in faith, we're in essence calling God a liar. And then watch this, the opposite of faith is not unbelief. The opposite of faith is certainty. And when we're not certain about things, all of us, we have this tendency, we want to know how it's going to happen. We want to know X, Y, and Z. We want to know 1, 2, and 3. And when we're not certain about what's going to happen next, it causes anxiety. And I'm not a medical doctor, but here's what anxiety is. Anxiety is simply worried about something that hadn't happened yet. I'm gone when I tell you this. I got 3 minutes. Anxiety is buying into the belief that God won't get it right. That's what it is. That's what it is. Anxiety is buying into the belief that God won't get it right. Anxiety is unwilling to trust an unknown future to a known God. That's my time. That's my power talk. That's my time. I got to go back and I got to rest. I got to go. But I wanted to come on because if God encouraged me by myself in the comfort of my home with these words, then I know that it would have been a comfort to you. So I begged the First Lady and I begged them to please let me get on for 10 minutes. And so that's what it is. That's what it is when we don't have faith in God. It causes us to develop anxiety, unwilling to trust an unknown future to a known God. So your faith, it's a present reality, it's a produced reaction, but then it's a powerful resource. Listen, thank you all again. Y'all keep praying for me. I ain't back 100%. I ain't still sometimes feel a little weak, but hey, you all keep praying for me. And I still believe that God is going to do it. God bless you.